Hello and welcome back to the Fightfit Challenge, where our gym members take on the challenge of a professional fight. Training together for 8 weeks and then matched up evenly, we put these guys through it all so they are ready for the big night. It has been a fantastic season of fights and we still have more blockbusters to come. On our last episode, we had a rematch where the doctor, Michael Boquest, took on the diesel mechanic Neil Standish for the second time. Neil learned from his first encounter and used that to his advantage. The judges were impressed with his movement and fast hands and awarded him the win on points.
Corner, Neil Standish.
Today we have a battle of the ages with the young, hot-headed personal trainer Frank Bartone up against the wise, mature and super fit Jim Panagiotidis.
We've got Jim and Frank, two lightweights.
Yes.
Very interesting fight. Little Frank, he hits hard, doesn't he?
Oh, and he loves hitting hard too.
He loves hitting hard. Even in soft sparring, he loves hitting hard. But he keeps his hands here.
Yep.
Where Jimmy keeps his hands here, which he's going to have to.
Yep.
Jimmy is quite tight, walks forward the whole time.
And very fit.
He is fit, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, he is fit. But so does Frank.
Yeah.
Frank walks in the whole time and just throws big punches. He can throw hard punches.
Yep.
But Frank's not going to be as fit as Jimmy.
I get the sense that Frank is more explosive.
He is.
And Jim is the longer distance sort of person.
One other interesting aspect between Jim and Frank
Yes.
is there's an age difference. Jim's got the experience on him,
Yes.
but Frank has the youth.
Yes.
So let's hope that Jim's experience can even out that youth that Frank has over him
Yes.
and make it an even fight.
Well, if he stays nice and calm, covers up and does what we talked about, I think he's got a really good shot at beating Frank.
Yeah, so do I. But I wouldn't want to get caught by Frank,
No.
even if I was a young bloke.
Yes.
Frank may be young, but he is very mature. He started his own business at the age of 17, which made Frank grow up very quickly.
So I'm a personal trainer and a strength coach. Basically sort of big focus on kind of your lifting based exercises. So we do sort of more resistance training here than probably your typical gyms. And we sort of focus more on sort of our big compound lifts. So I finished high school and I just knew I wanted to be a personal trainer. So I knew from a pretty young age that's what I wanted to do. I was lucky enough just to meet the right people that could kind of, push me in the right direction and help me set it all up. The age was a big factor. You have to really earn people's kind of respect. When they look at you and they go, okay, this is just a kid, what would he know? So you need to really show them that you know what you're doing. It's just, I think it's about, you in a way you have to work twice as hard for half the credit. Constantly learning and surrounding myself with some of the best trainers so that I was, always upping it. I don't really have any boxing experience. It'll be my first fight of any kind of fight. Really, boxing was something that I did for sort of conditioning for my rugby. And that wasn't really technical boxing, that was just kind of throwing your fists around to get your heart rate up. So I don't really have any experience, to be honest. I'd say I'm an extremely competitive person. And I find as well with boxing or with fighting in general, it's a real battle of toughness as well. And that's a big part of who I am, is sort of proving, that you are that little bit extra tougher, a little bit harder, that sort of thing. So a big part of it is just, it's a sport that I find that I've got a little bit of natural ability in. But it's definitely that sort of that warrior within, that kind of, find that sort of style, really testing what you can do. There's that element, I suppose, of you don't want to get embarrassed. You don't want to walk in, have all your family and friends there and get knocked out in the first 10 seconds. Starting your own business, it's one of those things, it's a 7-day-a-week job. And I can tell, especially in my first few months of doing it, it was I was there at 6 and I was leaving at 8 p.m. and it definitely teaches you discipline, and I suppose that ties into your fighting as well. Just to step in the ring, I think, is a really cool thing. So just to sort of get that sort of one-on-one and just sort of test myself and see what comes out, really.
Jim is a family man who works as a pharmaceutical sales rep. He is a glass half full kind of guy who loves to better himself in any way he can.
Yeah, look, I'm a medical sales rep, but I feel like you make an impact on patients' lives, even though I'm not a doctor, but if I have the capacity to offer them something that makes them feel better and healthier, and being part of that, it's quite rewarding. Day to day, speaking with specialists and in a specific area, it's mainly cardiologists or haematologists and respiratory physicians is my current area. It keeps it interesting, so every day is not the same, which is what I enjoy. It is structured, but there's also that flexibility to impart my own personality and obviously my experience, my previous experience, using my technical knowledge, being my science background, but then also using the sales skills that I need to pass on that information. Common question I get is, but you're an intelligent guy, why would you want to go into a boxing ring? Yeah, I see boxing like a chess match where you're trying to move and counter your opponent's moves, and it's a very cerebral situation. It's the physical aspect as well. It's so difficult with the fitness to have the capacity to have the game plan, but then to execute under pressure. But I see it as an advantage with my life experience as well, my age, and I think my mind's a bit more settled than maybe a younger person. I just want to perform well in the night. As I said, I don't fear of getting hurt. I don't fear of getting knocked out, anything like that relating to getting hit. Just don't want to disappoint myself. And I've got a pretty positive frame of mind. I'm a glass half full type person, so you can't have any fears when you get in the ring because there's no one there to help you when you're there.
Up next, we will see if these guys have what it takes to push themselves beyond their limits. All the fighters on the Fightfit challenge are matched up by their ability and their fitness, so both fighters have the chance to win. Once you take away these two elements, it all boils down to who is mentally tougher and who handles the pressure the best on the night. Something that both men understand and need to use to their advantage.
I'm feeling pretty knackered, to be honest now, week out from the fight. But yeah, go for it. I've really enjoyed it. So I've definitely gotten a lot out of it. Probably the sparring component recently, I think, has been the biggest sort of area of my game I need to improve on.
He was very square with his stance, very rigid with a lot of his punches, and very flat-footed. And so we had to work a lot on just trying to develop a bit of flow to his punches.
Yeah, when he goes this way to get away from your right hand, you've got to start trying to, because he's just scared of that because it was quite solid,
So it was my first sparring session. Then I went up against one of the more experienced guys and he just sort of let loose on my head a little bit. It just taught me that, you can't be too aggressive. There's got to be defensive elements to your fighting. You have to keep your hands up, you've got to move, you can't stand still. Got out of the ring and I was like, okay, that wasn't fun, but good. It taught me to sort of control a bit more, which is something I've been working on a lot.
Frank definitely doesn't lack aggression when he's in the ring.
Not too hard, Frank, not too hard, not too hard. Frank.
It's more trying to rein him back and make sure that he doesn't get too overzealous. His strength for his size, he's got a really good left hook and a really good body rip. And his weakness is probably the fact that he gets a little bit of white line fever when he gets in the ring, goes a bit forward, and that he allows himself to sit in range instead of being outside or inside range, which suits him a lot better.
Yeah, plenty of head movement, but you've got to walk in when you do it. Because he's keeping at the end of his punch where he wants you to be. You want to be in close next to him because you're shorter. That's where you work best. He's doing the right thing. He's going jab, and just moving his feet away a little bit. Because you're just doing this too much without actually walking in and putting pressure on. You've got to stalk him, keep him going backwards. If he's not going backwards, his punch is going to be quite strong.
I think in terms of athleticism, I've got a lot of the guys here covered, so it makes me look a lot better than I actually am.
The game plan with Jim is that we want to not bully him, but we want to assert our authority with Jim. Frank's a little bit stronger, so I believe that if he does come forward in a calculated way, he should be able to wear Jim down. And I believe they've had a couple of interesting sparring sessions, so that'll be interesting as well to see how that plays on their minds.
I think my biggest weakness at the moment is experience, number one. Like, I don't have a lot of in-ring experience and I'm not comfortable in the ring just yet.
Left hook. Don't step out so he can jab you. He stepped out right into his range where he can hit you.
All the guys sort of know me now as a bit of a hard hitter. A lot of guys come to me after sparring and go, oh, man, you're hitting really heavy. I thought a lot of the guys that have just years on me would be able to hit a lot heavier just from technique. But I think I'm probably one of the other guys that's dropped people in training. That I think was something else I didn't expect to be like a really aggressive hard hitter. Yeah, it definitely is a roller coaster. There's been ups and downs. I think all it takes is a bad session and it just ruins your mind, and then you have a really good session, you feel pumped. And I had a couple of days where I was just down and I was just like, I'm not ready and I don't know what I'm doing, and so yeah, so it's up and down, but feeling good now. My biggest concern is that I'll look like a scrub in front of my clients. That's literally my only concern really, is that I don't want to, in front of my friends, family, clients, basically not look good. I think if I put on a really entertaining fight and I didn't win, I'd be happy with that. Where if I sort of won but I looked sloppy, that would be bad.
Frank and Jim have had some testing sparring sessions, and on one occasion, Frank put Jim on the canvas.
I believe they sparred a couple of weeks back and Frank put Jim on the canvas.
It just kind of stunned me. He got me on the top of the head, and I was a bit off balance and not concussed at all. Training sessions have been difficult, but it's all building. I think the training's harder than actually the night. I think my strength will be my the mental side of things, just my maturity. Being older will be an advantage. My fitness is good. I think my speed, my footwork.
We've been working on getting in close, a lot of hooks, a lot of rips, a lot of head movement. His weaknesses, I think he's a bit susceptible to getting hurt, maybe because I believe when he sparred Frank, he only got clipped on top of the head or back of the neck, and he went down, and yeah, I'm just worried about that. If he gets caught, that it could be it.
Some of the sessions have been pretty hard, and actually completing them at a good level. But you do it, you, as one of the trainers said, don't slacken off because someone you're fighting's here. Again, the mental side of things. So I've always tried to finish every session as well as I could, just in case one of my opponents is watching. And I think being nervous, have a few doubts, I think keeps you sharp. So I'm just excited.
I assumed he'd be fighting someone, a little bit taller with long arms, same weight, so we'd have to get in close, but it looks like Frank's about the same height, so he won't really need to use that. He's going to need to have a nice tight guard because Frank punches bloody hard.
Yeah, Jim's going to have to weather the storm at the beginning of every round.
Yes.
While Frank goes berserk and does his thing.
Yes.
And then Frank's going to then have to dig deep and be careful.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like, in a lot of instances where you see someone who's so much fitter than the other person who may be explosive, I think Jim's just going to have to constantly walk in. As soon as Frank finishes a combination, he might just step in again, to really deplete Frank to the point that where, Jim can then pick him off. That's what I would do.
That's right. And when Frank does throw, Jimmy shouldn't be throwing punches with him because
that's
when he's going to be open, that's when he's going to get caught.
That's right.
But he can put the pressure on by not throwing punches, just walking forward.
Yep, keeping his hands up.
Make Frank keep on throwing, punch himself out, hopefully.
Yeah.
Coming up, we will see if the experience of Jim can outweigh the youthful aggression in Frank as this exciting fight gets underway.
Tonight from the beautiful Melbourne Pavilion, we have a lightweight contest. The next bout in the Fightfit Challenge. Jimmy the Weapon Panagiotidis against Frank the Pitbull Bartone. Let's hear from both fighters before they enter centre ring.
Excited about the challenge. I've got a really tough opponent, which I'm really excited about because the whole thing for me is doing the best I can in a challenging situation. The training's been fun, but it's been tiring, difficult at times. And the fact that I've got an opponent as young as, it could be as young as my son, 23 years older than him. He's got a lot of strengths. I've got to work on his weaknesses, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great fight.
The game plan is pretty much, who knows, I reckon when I step in there, I reckon the game plan goes out the window, but pretty much just sort of, throw my jab out early, really sort of establish my range. Pretty much, if I'm ever in, I'm swinging, and when I'm not swinging, I'm out of range. So it's not sort of hanging around. So sort of in and attacking, or just out and completely out of it.
Bruce Eva with you ringside, joined by Master Trainer Paul Fifield. And Paul, the most obvious statistic here, Jimmy, twice Frank's age.
Yeah, 45, mate, to 22. But he's got a lot of experience. He's been around the gym for a fair while, Jimmy, whereas Frank, he's quite new to the sport, but Frank is full of enthusiasm of a 22-year-old.
So here we go, 3 2-minute rounds. Both men have presented in terrific physical condition, and it's a fast start as well.
Yeah, Jimmy's always in great shape. Loves his training. Good family man. Got a few kids.
And a couple of scoring punches there as well from Jimmy as well. Got through with a sneaky little left, and both men letting their hands go early.
Have a look at Jimmy's hands. They're very, very high, Bruce. About 5 weeks ago in training, these boys were sparring with each other, and Frank actually dropped Jimmy with a good right hand. Now Frank, Jimmy's now got his hands up very, very high. He's thought about that a lot, and he's told me, he said, I'm not going to get caught again with a big punch like that. I'm going to keep my hands up nice and high, and that's what he's doing so far. It's good to see.
Nice tight defence from both fighters.
Good right hand. Lovely right hand from Jimmy on Frank's chin.
And Frank fires back, though. Some clubbing right hands to the side of Jimmy's head.
Now, most of those punches, Bruce, were landing on the gloves of Jimmy. And Jimmy's strategy, he told me before, is to weather the storm, to keep his hands up and let Jimmy, let Frankie throw a lot of big punches, which he does. He's got one gear, Frank, and that's to go berserk. So Jimmy's plan is to let him punch himself out, and then hopefully when he gets a little bit tired, if he gets a little bit tired, is to then make his scores start working.
Jimmy trying to find a home for a couple of big straight rights there. Frank then let's go with a little combination. Again, good tight defence from both fighters.
Yeah, both boys quite tidy with their technique. Jimmy loves his little weave left hook, and that's what he's going to work on. Oh, there you go, straight away.
Oh, and Frank fires straight back. Yeah, that got his attention, Paul.
Yeah, as I said, he only knows one gear. If he gets hit, he just goes berserk. And that's might be his downfall if Jimmy plays it right and keeps his hands up high and lets him punch himself out. Well, that's his strategy anyway. We'll see how it unfolds.
Jimmy proving a hard target to hit.
Yeah, Jimmy's had his hands up high this whole round, waiting for Frankie to get a little bit tired, but it hasn't happened this round yet, mate, has it?
Certainly hasn't, although they're really going hammer and tongs in the closing seconds, and that was a very entertaining opening stanza between Jimmy and Frank.
Well, there's a lovely right hand in the slow motion and a lovely left hook from Jimmy on Frank's head. So it actually looked like Frank was throwing a lot of the punches, but in these slow-mos here, Jimmy's the one who's actually doing the damage, wasn't it?
Jimmy certainly had the better of the early part of that first round, but Frank did fight back well. They touched gloves to start the second. As you can see, capacity crowd here at the Melbourne Pavilion, and a very close opening round. Jimmy in the black trunks, Frank in the orange trunks.
Yeah, Frank seemed to control himself here. He's not going berserk the way Jimmy hoped he'd go berserk and tire himself out. And he may have to become more offensive himself and take up the attack himself instead of waiting for Frankie to throw his punches.
Well, Frank's throwing a variety of punches, but not a lot landing in the scoring zone. He just pours out the jab again. That got through.
He is settling down a little bit though, Frank. He's not going silly. He's looking for his shots now, sticking that jab out and trying to find an opening on Jimmy, because Jimmy's defence is quite good.
And again, the jab gets through as Frank marches forward, and Jimmy now having to retreat. And Frank starting to have some success here.
Yeah, well, he was in trouble there. That's why he ran in and got pulled up by the referee. He ran in there, grabbed him around the waist. Yeah, Jimmy knew he was starting to get landed on, so he had to grab him by the waist and push him back like that, but the referee pulled him up straight away from that. Frank's gone straight back to that left jab. He's being much smarter now, isn't he, Bruce?
Yeah, and with the straight right following behind. Wild left there by Jimmy. Just flew or whizzed over the top of Frank's head, who then throws a short, hard right.
This has become an interesting fight for me, mate. Two guys playing a bit of chess here, having a look and trying to work out the best way in which to attack the other person. Whereas earlier on, they were just going berserk.
Some more rhythm to this bout now, midway through the second round. And Frank's jab is really causing Jimmy some problems, and he's working off the back of it nicely as well as the younger man.
Yeah, the jab has been the changing point here. As soon as Frank started to work on that jab, he's not getting himself tired, so Jimmy's strategy's gone out the window, hasn't it? He's waiting for Frankie to get tired. He's not going to get tired at this pace.
Frank again comes forward and probably has the best of the closing seconds of that second round.
As you can see from this highlight, Bruce, not a lot landed. So we'll have to see what happens in round 3.
They both threw plenty, but not much got through. The final round They touch gloves. Who can take the initiative and gain the momentum in this last 2 minutes?
Well, I think Jimmy's going to have to push the point bit here. He's been waiting for Frank to tire out, and that's not going to happen by the look of this. So Jimmy's going to have to push it and try and land some, become very offensive, like I suggested he did in the second round.
And Frank appears to have the heavier hands, although Jimmy's prepared to stand toe-to-toe with him in the early exchanges.
Yeah, there's more action this round, Bruce, isn't there? And it's good to see. Boys will start picking it up because they know they need this last round to win the fight.
Now Frank's trying to kneel. He's calling for his fighter to throw uppercuts. Is he listening? Yes, he is. A couple of huge uppercuts there, Paul.
Oh, yes. So professional from a person who's having his first fight. It's great to see. Listening to the corner and then responding when the corner asks him to do something. And it worked for him too. Good call from Neil, the trainer.
Great scoring punches. So Frank on the attack. Can Jimmy respond? We're halfway through the final round, and Frank's certainly having the best of it. And another right hand got through, and it's all about defence at the moment for Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy's hands are up very high. Doesn't want to get caught again like that. But he's starting to throw some big clubbing shots now, is the younger man. He's letting them go. He's feeling confident now, isn't he? He's starting to unload. Jimmy's got his hands up tight. He's standing there too long. He's getting hit very hard. He's getting hit. The referee steps in.
And there'll be a standing 8 count here. Tag to the body and then to the left side of the head. And a look of resignation on Jimmy's face. He knows he was caught with 4 or 5 very clean punches in that exchange.
Yeah, but he's ready to go on, mate. He's got plenty of heart, Jim. I've seen him training, and he loves his hard training, and he's ready to go. He'll come back out firing.
So Frank dominating this final round, and the standing 8 count certainly going to help on the scorecards.
Oh, big right hand from Jimmy. Come over the top of that shoulder of Frankie.
Neither fighter leaving anything in the tank. This is going right to the wire. Frank's had the best of the final round, but Jimmy, as brave as can be, standing toe-to-toe, refusing to yield. It's going right to the wire, and that's it. What a sensational fight. Look at the reaction from the crowd as well. They have been thoroughly entertained over those 6 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a majority decision. Judge Peter Flaherty had it dead even, 28-28. He was overruled by Henry Nissen, 30-26. Wayne Ashdown, 29-27. Majority points winner, red corner, Frank Bartone, the Pitman.
Unreal. Nothing can compare. It's exactly like I said. I got out there and the game plan was gone for 30 seconds, and then I heard my coach say settle, and then just went from there. So yeah, amazing. I don't even know. It's amazing.
That was a tremendous effort in such a high quality fight. Jim really took it to Frank, but Frank did not back down and just kept charging forward. On our next episode, we have the accountant taking on the business owner as we showcase our 3rd female fight for the season. If you would like to compete in the Fightfit challenge or just get fit and have fun, call 1300 Fightfit or go to fightfit.com.au. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Fightfit challenge.